doesn't matter because it's Makeup with Stephanie. It's like a little bag that's going to eat your hand.
Wow. Here, try that one.
Way too much.
Oh, that looks
coffee.
like almost like a beer keg.
Way too.
That stopped you.
It did. So it's sad that it made my heart happy. A little bit. Huh?
Why is that?
I don't know.
Well, I don't want to make your heart sad.
True. What's today? 25th?
Yeah.
I'm talking. This is Avon, and it's, I can't even see.
Is that one of your new
I know
ones?
when I'm getting old, and you're like, hang on.
With glasses on, and you're going.
Get my glasses, Jim.
That's getting bad.
Sheer Light Peach. Sheer Light Peach by Avon. Never tried it before. Never been used either.
Our camera's like, you know who's been in. You didn't reset the cameras.
I thought I did, but then you're walking. It threw it off. It's all right.
In the,
I'm gone. Are you ready?
I'm ready.
We're gonna go on Facebook now. And get a little peppier.
Wow.
Get peppier.
Jeez.
Just saying. Boom.
There's that funky slide guitar music that comes on every Monday through Friday on IE Newswire, both on Twitch, Facebook, and...
On YouTube, make sure you hit that like and subscribe button and share us all over your world.
Are we actually on YouTube today?
We are.
Yesterday it was like a no-go YouTube.
It's still going and loading.
Twitch is twitching.
Yes.
Wow.
I don't know what that means, but yes.
What is twitching out there?
What? I'm so confused. Anyways.
We won't go down that road.
Yeah, because really my wheels are turning and I still don't get it. It's okay.
That's what we love about you.
Thank you. I feel like that's like an insult.
No, that's not an insult. Of that.
That is.
Happy Thanksgiving Eve. We probably won't. We'll definitely not be on tomorrow. Probably not Friday. We probably won't be. Yeah.
Oh, but I'm gonna miss all my friends on here.
Yes, all that. But yeah, this will probably be the last show till next Monday. So we'll probably be if you're on if you're running on the Mighty Met or 5:30, you can still catch one of our replays that we're playing on that. But take a little time off on that, and as you see the graphic going up there, happy Thanksgiving. Tomorrow is the big day on that. And just want to say a few words about it. I mean, you know what, no matter, and I don't want to get into the big arguments of what, how, and why, and get in the statistical this and that and do that. Well, I could if you want me to go down that road.
No.
I will, but you usually start beating me with the stick or something
I need that
when
back,
I do.
by the way.
We're gonna have to do some we're gonna have to do some tinfoil hats because that's where you got the last one. I don't know what happened to the other one. I think you hit it, so you.
No, you threw it away when I wasn't here.
No, I would
Clearly
never
what
do
happened.
that.
Yeah, you would. You had somebody else do it then. Oh, that's stupid.
Of that. Oh boy.
Shut up.
No, I mean, you want to get
Anyways.
to, Thanksgiving is a time you should be give thanks. That's what, the Indians and the Pilgrims got together and, shared a meal, communicated with each other of that. And that's what Thanksgiving should be about. Now where our government officials keep telling me, we'll get into that, the latest one, the hypocrite mayor of Denver.
Don't go in. You were on a good path.
Well, I was, but we're going to get into the sparks here in a little bit. But no, we should be giving thanks, celebrating with family, doing what we normally do, and not getting scared by a bunch of other stuff or da-da-da-da-da, because that's exactly what the opposite of what Thanksgiving's about. Thanksgiving's about, that. And if there was ever a year that we needed to practice getting along, or that, it's got to be 2020, because this is just, this has just been the most hair-pulling moment of I think any year of my lifetime. I've seen a lot of stuff going through the pike, Vietnam Wars, race riot, the Watts riots in LA in the 60s, to the killing, ambush killings of police officers in Riverside, on and on, foreign conflicts that we've been in, and we've been on and on and on, presidents resigning, for the whole gamut. I mean, I thought, well, things couldn't get worse than this, or, 2020 is just like balled them all up into a ball, and times 10 from all the stuff that's been going on like this. But 50 million, 7 million travelers or something, or 50 million people, 7 million on planes, 50 million are traveling against all these orders that stay at home and you're going to kill everybody. Yes.
There's been so many people out too.
Yes.
It's been nice, but then still kind of no one wants to do it.
So I think people are voting with with their feet, or with just ignoring a lot of this stuff that's been going on, or they're as we're getting the lockdown orders across the board on all this stuff going back and forth, and we it's just a time. My thing is, do what you feel comfortable with. If you feel like if you feel like if you're having family or friends over and you don't need to hire a janitor service to sterilize the bathroom every time somebody uses it, go ahead, because we'll get into that.
That's a good business to get into.
Yeah, I would think so. Yeah, at the rate we're going, we're gonna have to, you can imagine what they're gonna come up with in this whole deal of going back and forth. So it's
and we want to say that we're thankful for all our viewers and listeners.
Yes, of everybody.
We couldn't do it without you.
You got it.
And I'm kind of thankful for Roy.
Wow, kinda.
More than not. I'm just kidding. You know I love you.
You got it. You gotta qualify everything, huh? No, but it is. It's time to. It's time. Tomorrow's time to reflect on everything and just relax, spend some time with family. Don't watch TV or play video games like the CDC recommendations were. Actually talk to people.
They recommended you watch. Well, they.
Yes, you weren't here yesterday. Yes, the CDC guidelines said instead of gathering with your family or eating, watch TV or play video games.
I could see watching like a Christmas movie at the end of dinner or something.
But no, they basically said instead of gathering with family or anything, watch a movie, watch TV.
Watch all the ads they're going to put
Yeah,
on
well,
TV.
right. There you go. I mean, it's totally ridiculous. I mean, that was about as dingy as you can get. On the news, and it was unusual, on this, that we Pennsylvania legislature, the senators and some of the congressmen, had a hearing today about the election, the votes, and was there voter fraud? Where's this coming from? Back and forth, and all that. So they invited Rudy Giuliani and Jenna Ellis, two of Trump lawyers on his team, of that to bring testimony, explain the case, where they think things are at. And they brought along some expert witnesses to testify along these lines. The first guy up is Colonel Phil Waldron. He laid a couple of bombshells on this whole thing. The first one we're going to do is, there's all this, there's all been the whole stop the vote count, then all these votes for Joe Biden. This is what Colonel Phil Waldron told the Pennsylvania legislature at the hearings today in regards to these anomalies, shutting the vote count. All of a sudden, Trump's up big, and all this, by 700,000 votes, and then all of a sudden, it's Joe Biden in the middle of actually in the wee hours of the morning, is leading in Pennsylvania. Here's Colonel Phil Waldron.
Big spikes. That's kind of what Greg was talking about, the anomalies of loading and uploading those votes. So that big spike that occurs there is a prime indicator of fraudulent voting.
And that's 604,000 votes in 90 minutes, is that right?
Correct. This is 337 votes, 337,000 votes in
that period of time.
Yes.
And when you look at this entire curve with all these spikes, can you calculate how much of a vote that accounted for Biden and how much for Trump?
Close to 600,000. I think our figures were about 570 some odd thousand that all those spikes represent over time.
For Biden?
Correct.
And how much for Trump?
I think it was a little over 3,200.
How about that?
Okay, everybody's been talking about evidence. We want to see evidence. There's an expert in the testimony after the count shut down in Pennsylvania. Almost 600,000 votes after the shutdown, after the 4-hour shutdown. 600,000 votes for Joe Biden, 3,200 for Trump. Just enough to overcome the lead Trump had before they shut the count down. Saying this is this is almost statistically impossible, if not quantifiably impossible to come up with on this. Again, Colonel Phil Waldron and his team investigated this, ran the numbers. That's what they do for a living, or that's their expertise. These are not guys that just rolled off the turnip truck yesterday, walked across the street, and made a bunch of allegations. They're credible people with evidence, and nobody is coming up to refute or answer how this happened in the Pennsylvania elections. Officials, Secretary of State, Governor, they just keep spouting there's nothing going on here. That was enough right there, probably. If that wasn't enough to get your attention, the next line of questioning that Rudy Giuliani goes with Colonel Waldron comes up here. So here we go.
Now, just to go back to your original document, this one pager that they all have. Mail-in ballots counted without being observed. Those are the ballots we were talking about that were not observed in Allegheny County and in Philadelphia.
Correct.
Is that right? 682,770. Now, this is the part that is a mystery. Mailed ballots sent out, 1,823,148. But when you go to the final count of the vote, there are 2,589,242 mail-in ballots. What happened? How do you account for the 700,000 mail-in ballots that appeared from nowhere?
So our cyber team uses white hat hacking techniques. They gather a lot of publicly available information, and that information was from the Secretary of State's website. That website has been updated as late as 11/16 this morning with provisional and mail-in ballots. So those numbers are still changing. They changed last night, so it's a continual target.
This is 22 days after the election.
That number, the 2.5 million number is no longer on the website.
Just been taken off?
There you go.
How would it have
700,000 votes.
Never mind. Carry on.
Just appeared, or how do you, if you mailed out 1.8 million mail-in ballots, how could you count, tell me, how could you count 2.5 million? This is not, you didn't even do 100%. I mean, even if they would have reported 1.8 million of the 1.8 million that 100% of them, and you could say that is possible. Almost statistically impossible. The odds of that are not even calculable. But let's say they had stopped there. No, they reported that they counted 2.5 million mail-in ballots when they only mailed out 1.8 million. Tell me how does that happen?
Carla writes in. No evidence is going to get thrown out of court.
Carla, tell me how you can count 2.5 million ballots when you only sent out 1.8. That number almost, that 700 versus 600,000 that almost counted for Joe Biden exclusively, like 98%, 97%. You cannot, the statistical odds of this happening is not even fathomable. It is not explainable. This man, Colonel Phil Waldron, said, yes, these voting machines are hackable. The operations are, he said, they can manipulate the votes.
Right.
They are, so it is possible.
And that's just Pennsylvania.
This is just Pennsylvania. One part.
I don't see, Carla, I love you. I really do. But even if it was the other way around, if Trump was in the lead,
yes.
not they, but people would be, just asking questions and saying the same thing. I don't get how people weren't expecting that to kind of happen, regardless of which way it kind of weighed.
I mean,
right?
he laid out the case. And as we said, Harvard law professor, they taught constitutional law, Alan Dershowitz, which is no part of the right-wing conspiracy, as goofball Clinton, Her Highness said, first question, is it possible? If you answer that yes, then the second question is, did it happen? So, according to this testimony, no matter what, you have Dominion says this is not possible, or that, or the software. And just because Dominion voting machines were not used in Philadelphia County, the same software was used in the voting machines that were used in the Dominion. So it doesn't matter. The software is what makes it work. And this Colonel Phil Waldron said it's possible. He's laying it out the case and giving the evidence that it did happen. So, again, I don't want to before we go any further, Carla or anybody else, explain to me how the Secretary of State counted 2.5 million mail-in ballots when only 1.8 were sent out.
We need evidence. Just kidding. I'm kidding. Don't hit me.
I mean, how else do you explain? I mean, that blew me away. I mean,
that's a lot. I mean, if you're if you're gonna try to do that, I mean, that's a lot to go off.
Could you, if you're the Secretary of State and you're saying, okay, Michael
writes it on YouTube, this is just a start. What are they going to find out? Buckle up.
There you go. I mean, okay, you're the Secretary of State of Pennsylvania. And you look at this and you sent out, and that as of November 3rd, you sent out 1.8 million ballots. And then after the election, you print that you counted 2.5. And then all of a sudden when people say, what about this? You take it off the site. I mean, that should have, even if it was a mistake or anything, it deserves, if it was a legit mistake for some stupid reason, which I don't know what it was, they should have said, this is the reason why, it's not a conspiracy, or we didn't, or we goofed this up, or that. And I don't see how, again, explain the 700,000 overvote. Almost 50% of the mail-in ballots have been counted in Pennsylvania. How do you do that?
Carla, I love you. She writes it on Facebook. Well, then let's recount votes from 2016. I bet Hillary would have won.
You don't think this was in place in that? Carla! And go back to
love
what
you. I'm just
go back to
saying, I had way
what
too
if
much
you
coffee.
listen to the go back and listen to the show. And I said, so why I voted for Bernie Sanders in the primary in 2016. I got that I got rumors that they were going to screw Bernie out of the election. So I'm non-party preference. So I asked for a Democrat ballot, and I voted for Bernie because I figured this was coming. And Sidney Powell said, Bernie Sanders knew about this. He knew he got screwed out of the California primary and probably the presidential nomination in 2016, and he sat silent. This stuff has been going on. I put the connections. Go look. Sequoia voting machines, which are now been bought out by, and Diebold, which are now owned by Dominion and all this stuff. Sequoia voting systems. Go back and look at Riverside County. And in 2007, after the 2006 elections, when they did not allow us to look at the machines, no paper ballots, Sequoia voting systems got bought out by Dominion. This stuff's been going on a long time, Carla. You and a lot of other in the majority have not been paying attention. The fact, you think I don't know history or ain't been involved in this stuff or I'm spouting this stuff off because I don't know? No, I lived it. I lived it for decades, and I know what I'm talking about. I know what I seen, and I know what I seen in Riverside County with Sequoia voting systems. And when I hear that coming up with Dominion and Symantec and all this stuff, and 700,000 overvotes and yada yada yada, because the judge said it was a crime what went on in Riverside County. And you know what? We went back to paper ballots. You know what we're back to? Dominion voting systems. We're back to the same crap. A voting machine that prints you out a printout with no receipt on it, nothing, because I voted in the polls on November 3rd up at the church on Slauson and Ironwood in Moreno Valley, California. And I got to punch my deal on a computer, and I got a receipt. I got a ballot back with no receipt, and I walked up there and said, where's the receipt? Because I seen mail-in ballots. I got one myself, and it was like the old-fashioned one. It had a receipt. This thing is crooked. It's coming back. It's coming back in Riverside County when we stomped it out, and this is what happens when you sit on your hands.
Feel better? A little bit?
Maybe.
All right. You didn't get a receipt, though?
No. Not when you do the vote. When you vote at the polls. What? You don't remember when I had you tear off your little receipt when you stuck it in? Mm-hmm. You don't get that when you vote at the polls with the Dominion voting machines, which are used in Riverside County. It's right for crooked corruption and manipulation. If you don't think it's been going on in California, go pose the question to Bernie Sanders, because if he answers the question honestly, he's probably going to say, yeah, they used it to screw me out of the Democratic nomination in 2016. Want to get to this one last video of that. This is Gregory Stenman. He's in there. He's a commanding officer of the Navy. Here we go.
I was told the next day by the solicitors, well, actually not the solicitor, but the attorney that we had secured, that they said every election they leave a couple of USBs in the voting machines and they're brought back, and generally the warehouse manager comes over and puts them in. So in talking to the U.S. Attorney General McSwain and other law enforcement officers, I found out that was not the case, that generally, more than two is unusual. So they denied they did it, but as of today, 47 USBV cards are missing.
Why? Why are 47 USB cards as putting this stuff all together all of a sudden are disappearing? When over two would be highly unusual, as the testimony of a Navy officer you just heard? That is called evidence. You wanted to see evidence? You're getting evidence. You're getting evidence of state legislatures controlled by Republicans that are bringing it out. Where were the rats who had every right to be at that hearing? They ain't there. Why? If they go back and forth, here you go. One last thing, and I want to get I want to roll with this before we get to the deal. You know, more in which and I alluded to when we talked about Thanksgiving. But here's your hypocritical government officials. This is the mayor of Denver, Colorado, Michael Hancock, who repeatedly has told people not to travel on Thanksgiving, like we've heard from our officials, Newsom, Ferrer, the doctor said no traveling, don't do this. CDC saying stay home, do a virtual Thanksgiving, watch TV or play video games, which just totally blows my mind.
You know how many dudes are.
But what does the hypocrite mayor do? As soon as he gives this edict on that, yesterday, he gets on a plane and goes to Houston to visit his family to have Thanksgiving. Exactly what he told everybody not to do.
Well, you listened, didn't you?
That's why. Again, do as I say, not as I do. Now, you tell me how this Democrat mayor of... Why does it always seem to be a D behind their names when this crap happens? Gavin Newsom walks into the $400 a plate, party down, French Laundry.
Who would spend that much money on food?
Yeah, because they're stealing it from you and me.
I know, but I panic when I spend $30 at McDonald's on
Well,
Happy Meal.
yes, because that's why. Because they're stealing your money, yours, mine, Carla's, and everybody else, and they're partying hardy. They wouldn't care if it costs $10,000 a plate because we are paying the bill.
Should have been in politics.
That's what you want to get upset. That's where you should direct your anger, because these Klondikes sit there in their ivory towers and they're laughing at us each and every day because they're partying hardy no matter what and doing exactly what they want to do while you're stuck at home. They're telling you not to do that, not to talk to mom and dad, put the kids in a corner. Do this, you can't go outside, blah, 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 blah. And as soon as they tell you that, they're on the airplane going to visit family in Houston, having probably a drunken party, and who knows all what's going on your dime. And you are paying for it. I hope y'all are happy.
I'm not.
This is what we've come down to. You think, again, explain the $700,000 overvote. Explain all this. We're going to tell you what to do.
I want to know more. I want to know
Yes.
all the states. So did they do a recount? How did they figure that out?
Where are they? How do you count?
Can every state do that?
It's like the precincts.
I want every state to do that, though.
It's
Can you
like
make it happen, Roy?
That's what they've said in Michigan, in Pennsylvania, and all these places, Atlanta. 300% voting in a precinct. How do you do that? How does it be? If the precinct is 500 people, how do you count 1,500 votes there? But nothing went on. This is all.
Because and I used to be that way too. It's called being a little naive and not wanting to admit that there's some shady stuff going on. Because yeah. See, I'm not even fully there yet. Because it's like, I don't know.
But you're not hearing.
People don't want to believe that there's people like that in the world that are going to do you over like that.
Do you believe it now?
A little bit.
We're making progress.
A little bit. But I believe the Pennsylvania stuff. I don't think anyone would put that out there if it wasn't true. No one's going to make themselves look stupid like that, especially when they're up there on the chain. But I want every state to do that. But then that's going to be terrifying.
Well, next week, Michigan and Arizona.
How big is Pennsylvania? Like how many residents?
Pennsylvania is one of our biggest states, probably like in the top 10 of that.
Okay.
I'm going to say probably 10, 11, 12 million people. Pennsylvania is a big state.
Okay.
Up there, because I know they're bigger than Georgia because they got more electoral votes.
So, but how many votes? Because he can still win it, right? If they go back and find out all this fraud, then what?
If the legislature says we're not going to send electors to the Electoral College if enough of them don't and it doesn't get to 270, Then it goes to the House, and we'll see how that, like I said, it might boil down to 47 votes in the 2nd District of Iowa that determines the President of the United States. That's how, this stuff, and, the only person that I've ever heard say that, guess who? That figured that out. Or who's been reporting that.
30 seconds. Did you have to ask?
No.
You?
Wow.
I thought we weren't talking about you right now. We're talking about you?
I'm the only one that said that. This may come down to 47 votes in Iowa. We ran it through the show. Yes, we ran through the.
I want evidence.
All this we provided it.
Is that Jesse?
10 seconds.
Hi, Jess.
Hey.
Oh, today's Wednesday. Hey, Jess.
Yep. We're about to start.
IE Newswire Daily is on the air.
The following is a paid program. Views and claims expressed are those of the program producer.
There's that funky slide guitar music that comes on every Monday through Friday on the Mighty Met, 1490 AM, broadcasting all over the Inland Empire, joining our worldwide audience on video on Twitch, Facebook,
and on YouTube. Make sure you hit that like and subscribe button and share us all over your world. And check out our Instagram page, too.
There you go. On a Wicked Wednesday of that. Wicked it was. I mean, we went through the... People have been asking evidence for the voter fraud of this. Pennsylvania legislature had a hearing today. Brought out 2 points. They brought out the anomaly of 600,000 votes in the middle of the night after the count was shut down. Trump was leading by about 500,000 votes, 500,000 plus. Count was shut down. All of a sudden, they dumped 600,000 votes for Joe Biden in the wee hours of November 4th and 3,200 for Trump. Then you heard the big bombshell, which you're not. I've been listening to the media all day after this, and I have not heard this, and I think this should be broadcast loud and clear. 1.8 million mail-in ballots were sent out in Pennsylvania. The Secretary of State, as before they took it down on November 16th, reported that they had counted 2.5 million plus ballots. How do you count a 700,000 over vote? Tell me, explain that. I'm waiting. I feel like
I need to give you an answer.
Yeah, I'm as brilliant as times as I may be. I don't even know how. I would not know. I mean, how do you explain that?
I don't know.
I mean, again, when you come up with that, on top of that, where it appears 600,000 votes for Joe Biden, 3,200 for Trump, when the machines were cut down in 4 hours in the wee hours of Wednesday morning, November 5th.
Neon Love Machine writes in on YouTube, sorry to cut you off. Don't forget you had to mail yours in 19 days early.
It's absolutely that. The Hypocrite Mayor in Denver said, don't go to Thanksgiving, stay at home, don't have family and friends over. As soon as he makes the edict yesterday, he gets on an aeroplane and goes visits his family in Houston, Texas to visit them for Thanksgiving. You talk about a hypocrite up and down the line. There you go. I mean, how much more of this are you willing to take? That's what I want to know. Really. I mean, coming up on, and this is Thanksgiving, we should be in a joyous mood, getting ready to enjoy turkey dinner with our families, celebration. The impetus of that is everybody gets along on Thanksgiving. We kind of set all this stuff aside and just, have an enjoyable day. And the Center for Disease Control says, don't have your family over. Sit and watch TV and play video games. This is absolutely, it's dumbfounding what's going on, and on and on and on. The whole thing was that President Trump chimed in and said, had and addressed the board at the Pennsylvania legislature. So it was an absolutely finally something. But I mean, the evidence that came on just totally blew me away on that. It's something else that you just can't do that. And to get his thoughts on the whole deal, on this uncovered 700,000 overvote, 600,000 votes in the wee middle of the night, 600,000 for Biden on Wednesday morning of the election after the machines were shut down, 600,000 for Trump. Colonel Phil Waldron testified to this today at the Pennsylvania legislature. To break this all down and go further into this, we have the owner of Toyota San Bernardino, Subaru San Bernardino, I-10 Toyota in Indio, and the newly acquired Nissan of San Bernardino. Cliff Cummings, welcome to IE Newswire with Steph and Roy.
Thank you. Happy Thanksgiving. Great to be here. Looking forward to a lot of fun tomorrow. And, so what's going on? What's happening with this? I've been trying to get Del Beccaro to let us know what's happening internally as far as the lawsuit that was filed. There was supposed to be some big news today. And one of the things we all have to realize when you get into the weeds like this in an election, when you think you're kind of ready to go, well, you're kind of not ready to go. And there's a lot more to filing a lawsuit in federal court. You've got to have such an amazing amount of evidence that it makes it tough. So everybody's working hard to try to sort this out. And now the question becomes, can they sort it out? Well, what has been the latest with you, sir?
Yeah, again, that's why I say that the testimony, Rudy Giuliani and Jenna Ellis, the leads on Trump's campaign, were at the Pennsylvania legislature that the senators called, and both House and Senate, were there. It was a joint meeting. Colonel Phil Waldron stepped up to the plate and explained it. He explained the 600,000 to 3,200 vote anomaly when the count got shut down, and then he dropped the bombshell that just blew me away. Pennsylvania sent out 1.8 million mail-in ballots. As of before they wiped it out, as of November 16th, they had reported that they counted 2.5 million mail-in ballots. Tell me how you overcount 700,000 votes.
Well, it's the question of the day. And that's where, again, I have a great number of friends who are extremely frustrated right now, and they're saying, tell us. Again, it's hard to tell us right away. There has got to be a lot more behind the scenes going on because they've been threatening, Giuliani's been threatening to make this announcement for days now, and they're well behind. And I think in order to get some credibility, because obviously all of the press, the bad guys, are poo-pooing this whole program, and I don't know that they should be. I think that we should be looking through this, and patience is a virtue. Most of us don't have any. But, again, we need to get this deal handled appropriately, and that's what I'm waiting for. I'm waiting for Tom to call me back. I'd like to see what he has to say.
And I would, and they were asking, and Rudy and Jen Ellis, Trump's attorney, said basically, and told the legislature, we're asking you not to certify this election. And how can you certify this election if you cannot explain, or the Secretary of State or election officials cannot explain how you could have 1.8 mail-in ballots and be counting 2.5 million of them?
Yeah.
Correct. And that's it. Boom, you hit it.
And I mean, if legislatures in there claiming next week there's going to be hearings in the legislatures in Arizona and Michigan, and if the same statistical analysis comes out or something close to that, you start putting the pressure on state legislatures not to certify these votes, And as I've said, and I think I'm the only one that's done this, we're now if nobody gets to 270, it goes to the House. Basically, each state delegation gets one vote, and it's controlled by their legislatures. Trump's at 25 states Republican. It's down to 47 votes out of 392,000. The Republicans leading by 47 votes. Trump has to have Iowa to get that 26 vote and be president. If Biden doesn't get to 270 and it goes to the House, this election, as I reported 2 weeks ago or a week and a half ago, may be determined by 47 votes in the 2nd District of Iowa.
Possibly. I'm not arguing any of it. What I am looking for is these people who are purporting to be all over this, and whether it's Rudy Giuliani or you can name whoever you want to name, that they have got to get that evidence out there in front of the public, and they've got to do it now.
Yes.
This isn't, they want to be right, okay, but when the lamestream press is looking at them and they're saying, no way, this isn't happening, well, now you're giving them fuel, right, to criticize whatever comes forward. And this is exactly what I think that the Trump administration do not want. They want to have airtight, and maybe that's what is taking so long, is it's got to be airtight. And it may not be wrapped up now. I do happen to believe that there is tremendous amount of fraud personally, and there's a bunch of sources that are indicating that. So while we're reading through that, again, it's a little bit of patience. Remember what happened with Bush and Gore.
Yes.
Took a long time. Took a long, long time. And I think that this will take considerably longer than some people want, but you want it right. And if you can't get it right, that is a huge, monstrous problem. You can't rush to judgment on this.
Yeah, and none other than Ken Starr, I heard him the other day, said the same thing. The prosecutor that was in on the Clinton impeachment hearings, and he said, constitutional, professor, and he said the same thing. Bush v. Gore took 37 days. We're now at day 21, even though they did. And and to go to your point, and this was what I've been saying the same thing. Show us something. I mean, they showed us a big one today. If they roll this out next week on that, I'm curious to see how people react, because again, with this, if they can prove like state after state after state is like this or has this type of anomaly going on, how could the electors or how could the state certify a vote that's that far out of whack?
Correct. And correct. And I don't think they will. And remember, this goes to the state legislatures, and then you can go through the rest of it, get to the Supreme Court, and that may ultimately be where this entire election is decided. And I'm enthusiastic about that happening. I want to get a fair result. And I think that the president can stand losing if the result is fair. Now, you and I don't think it's fair. We think it's dirty, right? And I do. I absolutely think that something is radically wrong.
Right.
Oh, I do. We've been going across this stuff for that. And what tipped me off, and I don't know if you remember, but after the 2006 election, Riverside County, they wouldn't even let us look at the machines. There was no receipt, nothing. And we were using Sequoia voting systems, which was been bought out by, Dominion and this whole thing. That's what got my radar up. And I said, we're back to the same thing. We went to paper ballots after the judge said, yeah, you guys got screwed. The elections were bad. We went to paper ballots all across California. And I voted at the polls on November 3rd. Walked in there, you voted on a machine, it printed you out a ballot of where you did, but there was no receipt that you got to take home like you had on a mail-in ballot. I'm looking at this. For crying out loud, we're coming back full circle after we fought this 15 years ago. We're coming back full circle with this whole stuff, even larger scale.
No argument there. And again, it's gotten to the point where perhaps the scale is so egregious and so large that you can almost not figure, and I think they are counting on this, by the way. You can't figure out how big it is. It's that humongous. We will see. I'm, for one, am frustrated beyond words because I think, again, we're fair people. Can take a loss if you lose.
Right.
Can't take having it stolen, but can take a loss if you lose. Now, have we lost? Don't think so. Don't think so at all. Think it's going to be a while yet before any of this comes to roost. And when it does, now Trump's got another problem because the wackos are going to be out there. Between the Antifa and all the rest of them, they're going to be out there. And that is not something I think that anybody wants to have happen. But again, that's something that we've got to be prepared for. And it is a shame that an election has to come to this kind of a conclusion of sorts, where a fair election can't be held, and then when you fix it, you've got to go deal with the riots.
Yeah. I mean, you can almost. You think my prediction is if Trump gets, somehow gets seated as president in 2020 on January 20th, what you saw in 2020 is going to be tiddlywinks, a cakewalk.
Why would you say that?
Compared to what's going to happen if that goes down.
I think I would say I would amend that in one way. What I would say is that while it will be difficult, I think the states, the cities, the National Guard, the feds will be completely prepared for it. And it will not be this craziness that occurred over the course of the last several months. And it's still going on in some places now. So I think that there'll be better preparation. I would like to think that there's better preparation. But again, here we go, right back to where the hell is the results? Show me what's going on. Show me the lawsuit. Show me. I can see the lawsuits. Anybody can read that. But again, give me something that proves. And we're seeing it bit by piece. This is an onion, right? This is an onion being unfurled, unraveled. And that's what people have to look at. You got to look at it and say, hey, all right, look, this sucks. I get it sucks. But what is actually going on here? Are we moving through the system? Yeah, we're moving through the system. Is the system slow? Oh, you know that. We both know
yes.
that. It's going to be incredibly slow. But it's got to be accurate, or else we are on our side are as bad as those guys on their side. And that's not what we want to have happen.
Exactly. I mean, I'm waiting for the press release from the Secretary of State of Pennsylvania or something explaining what's going on. I mean, I think at a minimum, not only Pennsylvanians, but the country deserves an answer to that from all the stuff that's, there's been no election fraud. There's nothing going on. Dominion guy was on the Sunday show saying this is all false. It's all conspiracy theories. And none of this could possibly happen. Well, there you have Navy officer and his team, Colonel Phil Waldron, saying exactly, yes, their machines were subject. They were on the internet. They were subject to being hacked. They're subject to vote manipulation. So as Alan Dershowitz says, first you ask, is it possible? If that question is yes, then the next question is, did it happen?
Agreed. And we've seen Dershowitz through so many of these issues. And he's a liberal Democrat, but he's a realist. He's an attorney, and he is a professor. He's an author. And while we may disagree on political issues, he is absolutely on the same side as fundamental fairness and ethics. And while we may, like I say, we ethically can disagree, right? That's different than having a food fight. And that's where the Antifa guys are. They're at the food fight level. So let's see. I think that they need to get this out. I want to see what answer gets back to me. I doubt it'll be tomorrow, but it might be. It might be a holiday surprise. Don't know.
Wouldn't that be something? And you put out a good point, and that's what we need to get. amongst politics and even in our everyday, but especially in politics, we need to get back with that. As you said, a lot of things I disagree with Alan Dershowitz on. Some things I do, like this on you have your day in court, what's going on, and he said Trump's perfectly within his rights to do this, and he's even said he will probably win his Pennsylvania case. He said he's on the stronger position, and that's the discussions we used to have, like you're talking about. Yeah, we might disagree, we'll debate it out, but at the end of the day, we shake hands and we're civil with each other. And it just seems like we're, as Tom Del Becar, as you mentioned before, wrote in his book 10 years ago, The Divided Area, it seems like we're just expanding that.
Yeah, and painful, right?
Yes.
That's the only word that I tend to use in a case like this. It's absolutely painful. It's painful for the country. It's painful for kids who are watching this. Yeah. Now, do you really want to see young folks, whether they're grammar school, high school, college, doesn't matter. All right, do you want this kind of thing thrown at them when clearly that there has been fraud when they find it? Because look, it goes the other way. As someone said the other day, there's fraud in every election, right? They know that. Okay, it's a question of how much and who does the better job of lying a lot of times. In this case, my opinion is that the Trump administration were absolutely ready for this. And that's one of the really interesting parts of this whole deal is they knew it was coming. And I think that when it's all over and done, if they win, then it's going to come out that the administration had absolutely been preparing for this. They knew it was coming. They knew who the players were. And now let's see where that all goes.
You got it. Give you a couple minutes to wrap it up. Wish everybody happy Thanksgiving. Go.
Well, you know what? That's the whole thing. We're now at holiday time. We've got kids. We've got family. And I find it really distressing that we've got to go through a crisis in the country during a time that we should be moving into the fun side of this part. And yeah. I know that, with the new Nissan store open, Toyota's doing great. We're busy as hell, and at the same time, in some ways, distracted as hell. And I don't like that part. I want everybody pulling the oars in the same direction. I know we're going to get past it. One of the neat things about this country is we're just so strong and such a great country that these kinds of things occur regularly, which, by the way, some don't want to admit, did with Bush Gore. Not at the violence level that we're anticipating, but I think we're going to get by it, and I think whatever happens, America will get back together again. And remember, we're going to win two Senate seats in Georgia, so it's stalemate. So as I said a couple of weeks ago, Trump's election is important, but the Senate is incredibly important because we have the Supreme Court and you have the Senate, and Pelosi got embarrassed in the House. So now what? Okay, so now let's see how we go in the next battle, and the next battle's coming very, very soon.
You got it. Happy Thanksgiving.
Happy Thanksgiving, Cliff.
I think it's going to be a roller coaster ride. Thanks for being on. We'll do it again real soon.
Looking forward to it. Have fun, you guys.
Bye-bye.
Bye. There you go. And I want to play this one clip because Trump did speak of a cell phone through his attorneys on that. So I want to play this one short clip. President Trump at the PA hearings. Here we go.
I said, no, I didn't vote. No, your ballot is in. You've already voted. In all cases for Biden, by the way. She said, no, I want to vote. Nope, your ballot is in. And then they give her a provisional ballot to sign, which goes nowhere. It's a disgrace that this is happening to our country. We won this election by a lot. We got 74 million votes. And if you would have said 74 million votes the day before the election, every single professional in the business would have said there's no way of beating that. We got 11 million votes more than we had 4 years before in 2016. And we got many votes more than Ronald Reagan had when he won 49 states. And nobody would have said we even had a chance of losing. And all you had to do is take a look at the numbers at 10 o'clock in the evening when everybody thought the election was virtually over. And then very weird things happened. But they're not weird to professionals, and they're not weird to Dominion and other people. that operate machines, and they're not weird to the people that handle the ballots where they were flooding the market. People were getting 2 and 3 and 4 ballots in their home. People that were dead were signing up for ballots. Not only were they coming in and putting in a ballot, but dead people were requesting ballots, and they were dead for years. And
There you go. I mean, that's how else do you get to 1.8 million ballots sent out, 2.5 million?
Dead people vote.
Yes, and multiple ballots and that. It just defies explanation. Yeah, I mean, I've been waiting for this, since the election, and the Trump team has been saying, well, we have the evidence that today is the first day they really popped it out and made a very credible case that, hey, what's going on? And I mean, I don't, we will see how this transpires because, like you say, Michigan and Arizona legislatures are going to have hearings coming up next week. And if the same amount of evidence is presented that is almost irrefutable, or if there is no explanation of how this happened, then this could be the biggest story of all time.
All time.
Am I being a little over
You're really
too much
very-
hyperbole
yeah,
there?
Way too dramatic, man. I'm
Of
just
that.
kidding. But no, I want other states to follow suit in that as well.
Yeah, it's going to be curious if they.
For all counts too, not just to see
Right.
with Biden. And I don't want, you know what I mean? Like, I don't want Biden just to be the one that's getting, because Carla had wrote in, or are they going to count Trump's too? But I think they'd be counting everybody's.
Yeah, I mean,
it would determine everybody's.
how do
vote.
when you have something like that? I mean, you can't trust any part of the election. I mean,
And like Cliff said, he had a great point. I think we can handle losing or one president winning
Yeah.
over the other as long as we know it's fair.
Exactly.
And it's more infuriating when you feel like it's
Yeah,
not fair.
I mean, been in these political circles for decades. You win some, you lose some, you pick up the fight. But again, you cannot accept, if we don't have free and fair elections, one man, one vote, we have nothing. I mean, we have a banana republic, a dictatorship. You say I do. I can tell you not to go to Thanksgiving or associate with your family, and I can get on an airplane and go visit my family or do that. Or I can break all of COVID rules and go to a $400 a plate dinner that you were paying for and laugh and play hardy and everything else. We have a lot of stuff to be thankful for. Enjoy your day. We'll probably won't be back on a live show till Monday. Have a happy Thanksgiving, great weekend.
Happy Thanksgiving,
On that, yes,
everyone.
enjoy that.